If you've been struggling with people-pleasing over the years and you'd like to know how this behavior is being perceived by others, stick for this video. Hi, my name is Alex Golovko. I am a yoga, philosophy, and movement teacher. I'm also a recovered people pleaser. So over the past 6 years, I've overcome this pattern using yoga, movement, but also practices on my own. In this video, I would like to make you understand how people-pleasing looks from the outside, from different types of people. So this will really make you understand how this behavior is actually harmful to you and how it is perceived from the outside. If you're here, you know that people-pleasing is quite a harmful behavior. It's something that you're already aware that you want to change in your life. You probably notice that in your relationships, they become fundamentally uneven. You tend to give more to try to sustain the relationship, and it becomes depleting for your energy. And as a people pleaser, you already probably know that you give a lot of focus on external judgment, external perception of yourself. How do others see you? And you let this guide you in your behavior. So you're looking for external cues, scanning the room to check how to behave to make sure that everybody either likes you or at least finds you as part of the group. So as a result, our actions are not really coming from inside, they're not aligned with our deeper self, but they are coming from the outside, from those cues we get from other people and what we think we should be doing, not what we really want to do. Maybe you already know this, but yes, people-pleasing is a coping mechanism that you inherited at some point from your childhood. So it's something that you've built, it's something that you needed at the time as a child, but now it's something that you most probably do not need anymore. If this pattern is not tackled, it really can lead to an unfulfilling life because you are living the life of others and not the life for yourself. And also your nervous system, since you're in a people-pleasing mode, it's constantly in an activated state, in a fight or flight mode, which leads you to be constantly anxious and stressed, which is not a very good thing for the nervous system either. So this will tend to increase the likelihood of anxiety, of panic attacks, and things like that, and just generally depletion of your energy. Finally, if you don't resolve this, this will repeat again and again. So all your relationships will essentially be doomed from the start because you are setting them on a basis which lets people sometimes take advantage of you. All right, so let's look into how people see you from outside. And to do that, I've separated just generally people into two types. One type is secure relationship people that have either worked on themselves a lot, are quite self-aware, and they're quite balanced and secure individuals. They worked on themselves a lot and they possibly have spotted and worked on their own coping mechanisms or childhood inherited patterns that they have. They might also have already had quite favorable context and favorable environments in their childhood, consistent love and support, which led them to develop their sense of self much better. So they are quite self-aware and they know what their needs are. They know to openly express what they really want without fearing the judgment of others. So these are people that are very self-aware. And when you reach that type of self-awareness, what happens then is that you are then spotting coping mechanism in other people quite fast. Because either you had it or something feels off in the relationship. So let's look into what do they see when they come across a person with people-pleasing pattern. So first of all, something feels kind of uncomfortable to them. It feels like there is kind of like a hook in the relationship or a hidden agenda, hidden expectations. It can be just to be liked or getting gratitude or expression of a compliment as a result of the action. It's just because for people pleasers, love had to be earned in a young age. Another feeling that they have, it's the gestures or the action of a people pleaser doesn't seem really genuine or really coming from the heart. There's also kind of like a passivity or a lack of genuine intention or passion in the action of the people pleaser. It's something mechanical and not something that's really coming from the heart, not expecting anything in return. Another important point is what they feel is like it's not honest. And what I mean by that is that they don't have the option to see the real person that's doing the action and take a decision based on that real person. So it's a pretend person that they see essentially, not the reality. And they can't take an informed decision based on what they see, because what they see is a pretense. So the thing is, the secure person will be aware of all of that. These are all feelings they will straight away spot from the offset. So if it's a new connection for you or somebody you just met, they will either just disengage or keep distance with the relationship, not really going into it. Or if it's already an existent friend or an existent connection, they might at some point this out to you, because they're being honest with their expectations, needs, and they will calmly, not in an aggressive manner at all, but since they're quite secure in their relationship, they will point it out to you. And just generally, if ever they see that you try to work on this behavior or work on this pattern, that you realize people pleasing is something you want to work on, they will usually be very happy for you. So they will support you in this, and they will understand how this is important to you. So at the very end, what is very important to understand is that the interest of secure people, especially if they're in your family or it's a friend of yours, a close friend of yours, their interest is not themselves, it's your well-being. Sure, they will protect their needs, they will voice their needs, but their interest at the end will always be your well-being. Now let's talk about the other types of individuals that you can come across. These are individuals that tend to either consciously or unconsciously need validation or service from others to feel their worth. So it could go into narcissistic behavior, but there's also less strong traits of that. There's also just patterns of self-involvement or various insecure relationship traits, even like people-pleasing itself, or avoidant attachment style. If you're familiar with the attachment style types, these can be some of the types, or also the disorganized attachment style as well. In these cases, either consciously or unconsciously, these people tend to also have some sort of coping mechanism that they have developed. And with the narcissistic extreme, these are people that tend to not have empathy at all. So they don't feel anything for other people, for the suffering of other people at all. So they will really focus other people as a means for getting what they want. And as you can maybe guess, a people pleaser for them is perfect. It's like the perfect type of relationship. So let's look at how they will interpret people pleasing and how they will spot a people pleaser. Any people with either these unconscious coping mechanisms that require validation from others, or conscious, like narcissistic behavior, for instance, they will spot a people pleaser straight away. And compared to a secure person, which will tend to, if it's a new connection, they will tend to back off a bit and they will feel not genuine with this person. The people with a coping mechanism or with this type of narcissistic traits, they will love and kind of really connect straight away with the people pleaser. They will be attracted by them, and it will be an easy way for them to get the validation that they want. So what they do, they will tend to make the people pleaser reassured by love bombing them or expressing excessive validation for the people pleaser, which also craves validation. But what they will also do is also to dump things on them or ask them to excessively help them or override the needs of the person, because they're not aware of their own needs as a people pleaser. They're not aware of where their boundaries are as a people pleaser. And what happens then is that when the people pleaser suddenly realizes that this is something that they want to work on, that the people-pleasing mechanism is something that they want to overcome, and will try to start setting boundaries with people and including these people, they will usually get pretty angry at that, because when you set boundaries with these people, they will lose the validation and the benefit that they had from this relationship. And because ultimately the interest of such people is not really your well-being. The interest of such people is their well-being through you. So that's where these kind of relationships are fundamentally uneven. So as I already kind of hinted before, not all people that will have that anger when you set boundaries or a negative reaction when you set boundaries are necessarily narcissists. Narcissists is really the end of the scope of the self-involved behaviors or the dysregulated types of personalities. You have also other people that just have some own issues or some own patterns that they developed over time, but that they're not self-aware of. So they're not aware of them. And they let them guide you and guide their behavior. For these kind of people that are not in the narcissistic scale, there is potential there to actually reset the relationship with new boundaries, with new rules, and refresh it in a way that benefits both parties. And for that, a very important element is for that other person to be willing to look inward into their own patterns, their own mechanisms, and get more self-aware about themselves. This is kind of like a prerequisite. If that is there, there is hope for the relationship to be sustained, but in a new way. So if you do change your people-pleasing pattern, they will also need to change their own pattern so that the balance is restored in the relationship. But this is work, and sometimes this might not be worth it if the level of work put into this is very different between the two individuals. This is something that is up to you to assess, essentially. So as you can see, setting up boundaries or starting to work on the people-pleasing will essentially result in a filtering of people. But as you can see, the filtering will be beneficial because those with secure relationships and secure types of personalities, they will always support you in this process. They will stay with you and they will be the best supporters of you going forward. Now, where there's going to be work there is this will definitely remove all the narcissists from your friends lists. So that's actually a great thing, don't you think? It's actually something that will clear up your connections. And then there is this gray zone with people that also have their own baggage, their own issues that they need to take care of. In this case, this requires a case-by-case, obviously, looking into it in the relationship, but resetting it on a healthier ground, on something that is beneficial equally for both parties, but also where both parties have a strong sense of self and a strong sense of what they need in their lives. A final point I want to make here is really people will learn how to treat you based on how you let them treat you from the outset. So this is why there is a learning process in each relationship that you start with anybody. So if you have this people-pleasing pattern and from the start you start with this pattern, they will learn to treat you a certain way. However, as you evolve and as you start reducing these coping mechanisms, working on yourself, then there might be a need to reset that relationship and to make sure that going forward, this relationship is changed and it's more balanced for both people. I hope this external perspective helps you to understand better how this pattern that you have impacts other people and how it's perceived outside. And as you can see, really the key there is to set boundaries up and learn how to progressively set those boundaries. If that's something that's of interest to you, just to let you know that I have a free masterclass called The Confidence Blueprint. It's linked in the description of this video as well as in my link in bio. So you can sign up for that. It's totally free. and I give you tools to set your own boundaries, even if you didn't do that before. All right, thank you for following this video and see you in the next.